Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to give you a presentation about WatchGuard. This is a WatchGuard corporate overview. This will talk a little bit about our company, a little about the market that we play in. We'll dabble briefly in some of our technologies, and then I'll give you three important things about WatchGuard that differentiate us from our competition. And I'll start with a business overview first. WatchGuard is a private company. We were taken private in 2006 by a group of private equity investors. Prior to that, we had been operating as a public company, but the privatization offered us a great opportunity to re-architect not only our technology and our product line, but actually our business model as well. We'll get much more detail into that as we go. We relaunched our new products in 2010, and we have seen great pickup from our customers on that. It's an indication to us that the model that we architected around, that of collapsing multiple perimeter security technologies onto a single box, has really played well for our customers. It does guarantee them the highest possible level of security. We've had very good revenue growth since then. We launched in 2011 a bundle of services that many people in the market refer to as next generation firewalls. It's a little bit of a stripped down version of our technology. We also announced our reputation enabled defense in 2011, and then in 2012 we brought out our virtual versions, XTM-V and XCS-V, the V on both of those product lines indicating that it's a virtualized piece of code. We are headquartered in Seattle, Washington. We have about 500 employees worldwide, and just now in the first quarter of 2013 we're closing in on that magic 1 million appliances mark. That includes both our physical appliances as well as our V versions, the virtualized versions of our appliances. So that'll be we'll have a party when we hit 1 million. We're completely channel focused with thousands of channel partners scattered around the globe. That's a very important aspect of our business. And you can see also the revenue breakout from a geographic perspective: 50% from the Americas, 38% EMEA, 12% Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific, although it's only 12%, is one of our highest growth regions, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Many accolades that we've won for the company as well. I wanted to give a little more insight on the value that our new product architecture brought to us. In effect, what we did was create a couple of isolation layers in our software that isolate us from the hardware beneath us and from the security modules that run above us. It's ended up giving us the most flexible possible architecture and platform. We have a huge amount of flexibility in how we go to market, both from a hardware perspective as well as from the software modules, the security modules that we use. And on the right side, you see this reflected in our modular structure there. We do have a very vendor agnostic strategy. If I'm able to find vendors that have new advanced technologies for securing my customer's environment, it's very easy for me to plug them in and have that technology made available to my customers. The value that we provide, WatchGuard specifically, the value that we provide is in taking all of these tools that we're including in our unified threat management platform and running them through our single unified policy-driven management console. In effect, what we're doing is we're actually taking these best-in-class tools from a variety of vendors and making them one step better by giving this policy-driven, single pane of glass management console that allows you to set policy across all of the different tools. Believe me, we'll get much more detailed on that as we go. But you can see across the bottom of the slide some of the partners that we work with. Intel architecture is the basis for most of our high selling boxes. We do have some smaller units that work in a small business environment that are built on Freescale. And then we have a list of the providers that we work with: AVG, Kaspersky, WebSense, Broadweb, etc. So we do have a good deal of investment made in these technology partners, and it shows in the value that we're able to deliver to our customers. Let's talk specifically about the market opportunity. The market that WatchGuard plays in is referred to as UTM, or Unified Threat Management. It's currently tracked by IDC as being about a $2.5 billion market with a very strong growth, 14% compounded annually starting in 2011 and mapping out into the future. Not only strong and growing, but the growth is actually accelerating over the next 4 years. So the amazing growth that we've seen from our own perspective as well as in the market is about to accelerate. If you look at the chart that you see there, the bars showing the revenue and the single line showing unit shipment, you can see that on both of them we are just getting to the kind of acceleration portion of the revenue growth. But all of that, of course, is built on IDC tracking what is spent on unified threat management. We believe at WatchGuard that the actual market that we address is much larger than that. If you take any spending on standalone perimeter security, such as customers buying old generation firewalls from Cisco, Juniper, customers buying standalone gateway antivirus products or gateway anti-spam products, if you were to add up all of that spending, we believe the actual available market that we play with is about a $10 billion. WatchGuard comes from a background of strength in the small and medium-sized business market. The Infonetics refers to this as the 50 to 500 user segment, and in that segment, WatchGuard is not only #1, but actually accelerating our lead in that space. The bar chart that you see here shows that not only did we start off last year when they were tracking us as being in first place in that market, but we've had another 33% growth in the lead that we have from 2011 through 2012. So the small and medium-sized business space is a very important market for us. By the way, you can see as you look through here some of the vendors that have actually lost ground in that space. Of course, Cisco and McAfee being fairly heavily penalized. But that small and medium. The value proposition of unified threat management is nothing new to the market. The market has something that we refer to internally as the technology treadmill. The treadmill is what continually takes multiple discrete technologies and collapses them down onto a single unified platform. You probably can't remember the last time you installed in a PC a discrete sound card or a discrete network card. Those technologies have been collapsed down onto a motherboard. You probably don't carry with you in your pocket a digital camera and a GPS and a cell phone. You just carry a smartphone. All of those individual pieces of technology have collapsed down. And there's a lot of value to that for the customer. We believe that the same thing is happening in the unified threat management space. All of the individual standalone technologies, application control, which is so important for customers to track who is using Web 2.0 applications in their environment, URL filtering so that you can block nefarious URLs from your environment, anti-spam, gateway antivirus, intrusion prevention. All of these technologies are very important, very valuable from a security perspective, but it is possible now, because of WatchGuard's work, to collapse all of those pieces down onto a single box that runs all of them. And the value that we provide to that is kind of twofold. The benefit is, first of all, a cost savings. In some research that was reported in October of 2012, Gartner said that mid-sized companies would save on average 49% of the cost by moving away from multiple discrete technologies and onto a single platform. And that's not, by the way, just in acquisition costs. Ongoing support costs are lower. The maintenance costs are lower. You don't have to buy the hardware to run all the different pieces on. So about a 50% decrease in costs. But unlike usually is the case, we also are able to offer at this 50% lower cost a much higher level of security in the environment. By taking anti-spam, antivirus, intrusion prevention, and running them all on a single box with a single policy-driven management console, our customers are actually able to increase the level of security they have. In today's market, it's very rare for malware to be a simple virus on a USB drive, or if you still use floppy disk drives in your environment, a virus coming in that way. Those old siloed malware attacks have really disappeared, and they have been replaced by increasingly blended threats. The problems that our customers have in the market today come from these very, very blended threats. Somebody getting a spam email that comes in, phishing type of email, clicking on a link that takes them past a drive-by download site, so some bad URL embedded in the email. And they get some malware downloaded onto their system that opens a command and control channel back out to a botnet somewhere. There's so much back and forth from modern malware threats, these very incredibly blended malware threats, that the only logical way to go after them and try and compete with them or try and beat them is with a blended solution. Blended threats require a blended solution, and that's how unified threat management increases the security in our customer's environment and does it at a lower cost. It's a great benefit on both sides of the equation. Let's talk about our competition for a minute. WatchGuard is very highly regarded. Infotech tracked us as being the champion in their space. This is in the UTM category specifically, and they showed us as being the leader in that space. And they had some great reasons for that, but really the value that we offer for our customers is what won the day for us. They show us as having the highest value score because we do take all these unified threat management tools, combine them into a single, low-cost, reasonably priced platform. But even in situations where we don't show up in the first place, we are always considered in the top few vendors in the space. As you can see in this slide, where Frost & Sullivan, Canalys, Gartner in their UTM Magic Quadrant, we're typically perceived as being up in that leader space in the UTM, specifically in that UTM market. So WatchGuard is very highly regarded in this space. We continue to receive a huge number of press awards and analyst awards, typically recognized as being an extremely good value proposition for our customers. And I want to talk through a little bit about WatchGuard's strategy. When I talk about SMB, or small and mid-sized business, we want people to understand that SMB space is a very, very important market for us. It's just under $1 billion. It's $750 million in size. As I showed you on the Infotech slide, we are a leader in that space, and we don't want to turn away from that. On the other hand, if you look at the slide, this mid-sized enterprise space is even closer to $1 billion. It is a much larger market for us, so that's an important area for us as well. Now, up in that enterprise space, the 1,000 employees plus column, I show that as being not quite as large as the others. That's estimated by IDC at being about a $650 million market. But they do give that kind of 3 thumbs up in terms of growth rates. So that enterprise space is extremely important as well because of the growth. Mid-size is important because of the size, and small and mid-sized business is important because that's where we currently have our strength. So summing all that up, I categorize this as being kind of 3 different areas. First of all, it's extremely important that we retain our leadership position in that, specifically that 50 to 500 user segment. We want to stay strong there. The features that we're doing, such as our rapid deploy feature and some new things that we're going to work on in that category, those are really focused on keeping that position of strength in that market. At the same time, though, we do have a great opportunity to grow into a leadership position in the next space up, the 500 to 5,000 user segment. There are many things that we do that appeal to that segment. We'll talk in a minute about a few of the things that have made us very attractive in that space, one of which, of course, is performance. We fundamentally believe that the value proposition continues to work extremely well in that next category up, that 500 to 5,000 user segment, and that it's just a problem with historic performance of our boxes in the market, the competitors' boxes, that has slowed that growth down. So we do have a great opportunity ahead of us, and I'll give some details on that in a minute, to grow into a leadership position in that space. At the same time, opportunistically, we do have customers with 5,000 and more users. There are many of them in the educational space with large enrollments of student bodies. We have quite a few in the healthcare space, mining, manufacturing, hospitality companies, and so we will continue to opportunistically explore business opportunities up in that segment as well. WatchGuard has a very strong suite of security products, starting in our SMB products, that XTM2 and 3 series. Those are great for smaller offices or branch offices. In fact, we do have a lot of very large enterprise customers who deploy some of our higher end boxes at corporate headquarters and then use this XTM2 and 3 series out in their branch offices. So that's a very strong business for us. Our XTM5 series, one of our highest selling products, works extremely well in that mid-sized business space. You can do a great job in a business that has several hundred employees with that XTM5 box. If you're higher than that, the XTM8 and 10 series are great, and then once you start to reach up into the enterprise space, the XTM2050 with redundant power supply, rackable, very, very solid box in terms of large enterprises. WatchGuard has some new boxes just coming onto the market right now. I don't have information in them in this particular slide presentation, but we will provide information soon. They will be a refresh to our 800 series, and then at the high end, it will be these products will show up as the 1500 series and the 2500 series, and that 2500 series is far and away the highest performing UTM product that we have in the market. It's interesting to note that when we go into competitive shootouts with some of our strong competition that we have, when the shootout is focused on UTM suite performance, we always win first place. WatchGuard has the strongest performance in the UTM category. When you see a performance shootout that does not show WatchGuard in first place, I can guarantee that when you read down in the fine print, it will have just been a packet filter or maybe intrusion prevention only. Some of our competitors optimize their performance specifically around packet filtering and IPS performance. When you see a UTM performance shootout, you will always see WatchGuard in first place. And it's these boxes and those new high-end 1500 and 2500 series boxes that make that possible for us. In addition to our security products, we also have a very strong suite of subscriptions. Some of the content that we provide on our boxes has subscription available, which allows you to get access to pattern updates, application control, intrusion prevention patterns. Our gateway antivirus gets updated. So the software that runs on the hardware that we provide is managed through this subscription. I want to give you some insight into the 3 top reasons that we hear from customers as to why they chose WatchGuard. Again, number 1 for us is this top UTM performance. When our customers ponder turning on the full UTM suite in their environment, typically there is a little bit of trepidation. Our customers tell us, first of all, their primary concern as a security partner in their space is they can't afford to be hacked. They can't afford a security breach. Their second highest concern is they can't afford to be seen as slowing down the pace of business in that environment. So in order to enable them to provide all of the security that the company needs, but not slow down the pace of business, it's been very important for WatchGuard to continue to drive that drumbeat of performance with full UTM turned on. We do see some reluctance from larger enterprise customers to adopt UTM simply because they have concerns about the performance, but we believe that's mostly due to our competitors benchmarking their boxes and optimizing the performance of their boxes so that they perform extremely well with all the features turned off, packet filtering only, or packet filter and IPS. We are very skeptical of that approach. We believe that's the fastest way to get malware into your environment. So WatchGuard has always optimized our performance around the full UTM suite. I'll give you more information on that in just a minute. The second reason that our customers tell us they've chosen WatchGuard is for this best-in-class technology. I mentioned earlier on what the best-in-class strategy is, but that's our business model of licensing the best technologies from vendors, and I'll give you a lot more detail on that one as well. The third reason is strong manageability, and that's possible for us to focus so heavily on that because of our best-in-class business model, and I'll give you more information on that to make it make sense. So let's look at UTM performance to start with. As I mentioned, WatchGuard is always found at the top of the performance chart when it's the full UTM suite. So I'm showing that here at every price point that I list across the bottom. WatchGuard has the highest throughput with the full UTM suite turned on. Now I want to point out that on this particular slide, I'm actually doing the benchmarking just using Gateway Antivirus. That turns on the full proxies, and that's a great metaphor for the full UTM suite, but I'm not actually able to do the full UTM suite performance publication because some of our competitors don't actually show what that UTM suite performance is. And quite honestly, if I had the same UTM poor performance that they have, I'm not sure I would publish it either. If I did have UTM performance data from all of my competitors that I could graph on here, there would actually be more of a gap between the red diamond that is WatchGuard and our competitors' products. So again, if UTM is important to you, if it's important to you to save 50% of your costs, and at the same time increase your security efficacy because you've got this single management console that gives a policy-driven approach to managing all of your tools. If you buy into that, WatchGuard is a no-brainer for you because we do have the UTM suite performance necessary to make sure you can secure your environment without being found guilty of slowing down the pace of business. And the reason that we're able to do that is this re-architecture that I mentioned early on in the slide presentation. When I talk about re-architecting our products and our technology between 2007 and 2010, this is what I'm talking about. We made the decision to stop doing standalone single function boxes and instead to run our firmware and all of our software modules on top of industry architecture platform. At the low end, again, that's Freescale. But in our 5 series and up, we have chosen to build that on Intel architecture. The great thing that does for our customers is it gives them access to all of the performance increases that Intel is driving in the market. Intel defined Moore's Law, which states this incredible increase on an annual or 18-monthly basis. Our customers are able to take advantage of that because as Intel's platform advances in performance, our UTMs advance in performance at the same pace. Our competitors, on the other hand, have chosen to build their own custom hardware. And when they do that and optimize around that, we do see a big performance boost from our customers. Every 2 or 3 years, when Fortinet revs the ASICs, the hardware, the custom hardware in their platform, there typically is a big boost. But they can't afford to keep up with Intel Corporation, and so they'll rev the ASICs and get a big boost in performance, and then that performance level is locked in for the next 3 years while they focus on other things. We don't take that same path. We partner with Intel, and as Intel's performance advances, our performance advances, and that is a very tough proposition for our competitors who are trying to design their own hardware. That's a tough proposition for them to keep up with. And that's just on the hardware side. That same proposition actually holds true on the software side as well. Many of our competitors have chosen to do in-house development efforts for antivirus and URL filtering, anti-spam solutions. In effect, what that means is SonicWall, Fortinet, Palo Alto are spending engineering resources and cost chasing after this antivirus solution in an attempt to catch up with some of the best-in-class vendors out there, the AVGs and Kaspersky's of the world. We're big fans of AVG and Kaspersky. We really feel like they have perfected these engines in detecting and eradicating malware, and rather than try and duplicate that, I'm very happy to license that technology, build it into my console so that the interface that our customers have with that antivirus technology is taken away, and instead they interact with that technology through our own common policy-driven interface. Again, the value for the customer is at actually a lower cost model. They have access to some of the best-in-class tools. WebSense is a great URL filtering tool. We continually hear, specifically from our mid-sized and larger enterprise customers, we continually hear how valuable WebSense is to the security profile within their corporations. And so we license that WebSense technology, include it on our XTM product, subsume that interface underneath ours so that we give a common policy-driven interface for customers to interact with antivirus, URL, anti-spam, IPS, etc., so they don't have to learn how to interact with all of these different products. And at the same time, I'm not spending resources as Fortinet and SonicWall are chasing after these individual technologies. So the hardware built on Intel architecture and Freescale at the very low end gives me the benefit of those technology advances, and my security modules at the high end, where when AVG provides pattern updates and engine updates, my customers immediately benefit from that. That's our best-in-class technology strategy. What we do to add value to that is everything that you see on this slide that's in red. We provide, as I mentioned before, starting at the bottom, this firmware, our operating system, a security-focused, hardened, Linux-based operating system that really gives us that flexibility sitting on top of the hardware. We've developed an incredible proxy-based engine. I could spend another hour with you talking about the value of proxy-based engines and how much more secure they make you. Why don't our competitors use them? They simply don't have the performance to turn on that proxy engine like we can. So that XTM platform, where all of the individual pieces of technology, antivirus and URL filtering, anti-spam, IPS, where all of those plug in, that's this XTM platform. We designed it for modularity. It's easy for us to replace them. If we ever found that our IPS vendor or our anti-spam vendor was either not keeping up with market trends or market threats, it's a simple process for us because of the modularity to unplug that, plug a new one in. And from my customer's perspective, all they know is their protection just got better, the interface stays the same. Because we layer on top of all of those things this nice common management console that drives a policy-based interaction with all of the pieces of technology that we have. So those are the two things, UTM performance, best-in-class technology. The third one is best-in-class manageability. We focus so heavily on manageability because I'm not off trying to duplicate Intel's advances in platform performance, and because I'm not off trying to duplicate Kaspersky and AVG's performance in antivirus detection and eradication, I can afford to spend my engineering resources making our platform easier to adopt, easier to deploy, easier to use, higher levels of visibility. And one of the reasons that we focus so heavily on that is that we do see research indicating that a huge percentage of security problems are caused by complexity of technology. Gartner in 2011 published some research stating that 95% of firewall breaches are caused by firewall misconfigurations and not firewall flaws. We've seen data from Verizon's data group indicating that 96% was caused by that. So we know that a huge percentage of security breaches that our customers struggle with are caused by vendors not making their technology easy enough for customers to use. Well, that's not something that WatchGuard is guilty of. We continually get, as you see on the left side from Frost and Sullivan, we get the full pie on ease of use and manageability. Gartner in their UTM Magic Quadrant, the Magic Quadrant that they published specifically around unified threat management, said that our balance between both ease of use and strong security is usually the reason that they are given as to why customers choose WatchGuard. So we are recognized as being a leader in the space of manageability, and one of the reasons for that is we take it very seriously. I love advanced security features, don't get me wrong. I like to go chase after new emerging technologies that can make my customers more secure, more effective in their security. When I do that, I'm solving the 5%. I spend more development resources on manageability and usability than on anything else in the company because I'm interested in solving the 95% problem. Let's talk a little bit about some of the financials and who some of our customers are. Because of our focus on providing security technologies that have pattern updates to them, patterns and new libraries of data, we have seen a large shift in our recurring revenue structure from a few years ago. When we were first taken private, the majority of our revenue came from a one-time purchase of a standalone appliance. In 2011, we saw that kind of flip the other way, where now 2/3 of our revenue come from this recurring services that we provide. We give our customers access not only to best-in-class technology now, but we keep those patterns fresh, the libraries and the virus pattern files, we keep that fresh. And as they subscribe to us, they're able to get on a 1-year or a 3-year basis ongoing access to new patterns and libraries. We also have an extremely high level of customer renewal, something that tells us that in addition to this, 2/3 of our revenue from these ongoing services, our customers are getting a great deal of value from that and continue to renew at record numbers. Significant customer wins. If you know anything about our business, you know that we have been strong in that small to mid-sized business in the past. What I'm showing you here is that we have started making very significant inroads into the enterprise space. One thing that's interesting to note as you kind of roll through some of the customers that we have is that we do tend to do extremely well in customers that have distributed enterprise. Single large corporate headquarters or a couple of large corporate headquarters and then a large number of branch offices scattered around. So that's why we do so well with hospitality groups like hotels that I list some of here. That's why we do so well with banks, restaurants, etc., because there's a great deal of requirement for security at corporate headquarters, but then out in each of the branch offices, there's, if possible, even a higher degree of security required because there are credit card transactions taking place and customers need to know that they are PCI compliant, which we are. Or it's a healthcare institution, as some of the ones that I have listed here, Mayo Clinic, for example, where customers need us to certify to them that we are also HIPAA compliant and can help them certify HIPAA compliance. And so, we have those kind of compliance things built into our product as well. And that's one of the reasons that you see so much hospitality and distributed enterprise. But my prediction for the next few years is that while we continue to do extremely well in distributed branch offices and small and medium-sized businesses, you'll probably continue to see from us an almost double degree of growth in the large enterprise space, because in the past, some of the customers that you see listed here, they did not have access to the performance necessary to turn on the full UTM suite. Now, with some of our new product refresh that I talked about earlier, they actually have available to them the performance necessary to secure their environment. We've got a great experienced management team. I'm possibly a little bit biased because I'm listed on there. Our CEO, Joe Wong, has great experience at Symantec and then an Intel spin-out, a software company called Landesk Software. And in addition to Joe's experience, you can see that we have we have many years of experience in both large and small startups. My own background came from Intel Corporation as well as a successful startup called Sparksent. And so we do have a very experienced and well-storied management team. So just to summarize, the UTM market that we play in is a very large market, $2.5 billion if you count only the spending on that type of product. But again, when you roll into it, all of the spending on standalone security products that exist at the perimeter, approximately a $10 billion market with about a 14% compound annual growth rate. So it is extremely a lucrative market that we play in. Cisco and Juniper make it possible for us to experience what I would refer to as being faster than market growth, because they continue to sell large numbers of firewalls, but their customers typically are not very enthusiastic about them once they've bought them. They tend to lack features. They lag behind by several years, a couple generations. And so it's typically possible for us to work with a Cisco or Juniper customer and say, we love the fact that you're interested in security and that you're spending on security. Let me show you, what you really should be getting for your security dollar. We've re-architected our product to run on industry standards. Intel's performance enhancements benefit our customers directly because of that re-architecting. We have had a strong and consistent revenue growth. Our revenue has done extremely well as we've kept up with market growth. With a lot of it coming from, as I mentioned before, this recurring revenue from our services subscription. And again, as I mentioned, a very, very high customer retention rate as exhibited in our services renewals, our subscription renewals. And I mentioned the three things that differentiate us from a product perspective. If you look at it from a UTM perspective, we have #1 performance at every price point. Our best-in-class technology strategy gives all of that best-in-class technology to our customers through a single pane of glass management console, allowing for strong manageability, strong usability, and great visibility into what's going on in that environment. So these are our real corporate strengths: channel focus, very diversified business, a tenured management team. That's what we've got going for us, and that is the WatchGuard story. I thank you very much for your time.